Welcome, everybody. It is WWE Monday Night Raw live review time. You know what it is. September 12th, 2022. It's your boy, Ango. And, of course, we're going to talk about a lot of the things that happened on Raw tonight. Very, very interesting episode of WWE Raw. I have very little complaints, but I feel like the complaints that I do have are pretty, they're pretty legit. And I think some of the things that I didn't like about WWE Raw can easily be fixed. I also want to say I think WWE Raw did a lot of great things today. A very good episode highlighting new talent, creating new moments for people that desperately need them, like the Judgment Day. They ended WWE Raw with a bang, and that's kind of what we needed WWE to do. And we're going to talk about that in today's stream. I hope everybody's having a great night. Let's take a look at the chat. Let's see who's rocking with us tonight. Shout out to Linton, Jonas, Mike, Quentin Anthony, James Brown Gaming, Nate, AJ, TJ, Todd Crow, Christian. What's up, everybody? MGT. Thank you all for stopping by tonight. I genuinely appreciate it. Guys, I thought this was a very solid episode of WWE Raw, and I was really excited to see that WWE continues this hot streak of good television, because WWE Raw is 3 hours long, and it's gonna be a complaint from me, honestly, for a very long time. I won't lie to you guys. I think WWE being 3 hours long, it's just a little too long. But thankfully, for 3 hours, I seem to enjoy a very solid episode. And I'll tell you guys what I didn't like about the episode. I'll tell you guys what I think was really, really good. We'll get into it. And, of course, go ahead and drop your comments in the chat. Keep in mind, while we're live on YouTube, I won't run ads during the live stream. But if you guys want to contribute to the show, best way to do that is by dropping a super chat or super sticker. Guarantees I'll be able to read your question and comments out loud on the stream. Shout out to Cedric Gilmer, one of our VIP members on the channel. Thank you for stopping by, brother. Thank you, Renee, for the beautiful comment. Greatest on wrestling, me. Thank you. I appreciate that. Shout out to, I know there's a couple other people. Oh, Jay Davidson. I got to give you a shout out. Guys, if you haven't clicked that subscribe button, go ahead and do so. We are quickly growing on this channel. We're super close to 44,000. So if you guys have not clicked that subscribe button, you definitely should do it. We're just a few hundred away from 44,000. And yes, it is required that you subscribe on this live stream in order to chat. The reason why is because we're trying to prevent those spammy accounts that are trying to scam you guys. And yeah, you already know. Shout out to Benjamin and Big JH99. Thank you both for subscribing. Appreciate it. Shout out to Denisha Lane for coming through. Denisha Lane is also another channel member. Appreciate it. Guys, what a great day. What a great month for wrestling. Excuse me. Honestly, I thought it was like I thought it was a good week for wrestling, but this month has been really solid. I don't know what it is. We're only 12 days into the month. September 2022 seems to be a really big month for pro wrestling. WWE continues the hot streak. That is going to be my major thing that I'm going to be talking about, because I feel like Triple H needs to be given some credit here. The opening with the Judgment Day, obviously. You got Matt Riddle and Seth Rollins. Again, continuity. Seth Rollins doesn't want to give. He doesn't want to give Riddle a rematch. But the cool thing is there's other things happening in this WWE product where guys can be involved in multiple storylines at the same time. And I love this. I love it. The idea that WWE feels like an open world, and for whatever the reason may be, people are interacting, they're crossing into storylines. I really love that. So here's the thing. When I watch WWE Raw, I have a couple complaints. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Do you guys want to hear my complaints first, or do you guys want to hear my praise first? Because that is really important. I think I have to speak up as somebody who tries to be as non-biased as possible. There were some things I didn't like about Raw, but I'm going to explain to you guys what I would do differently to change that, because I think that's important. I think anytime, it's like when I mention AEW or Impact or whatever, anytime I see an issue with something, I feel like it's incredibly important to talk about what my solution to the problem would be. And it looks like you guys want the complaints first, so that's what we're going to roll with. The complaint is pretty simple, okay? I'm going to tell you guys what I disliked first. First and foremost, WWE made the decision today to have Bianca Belair have an open challenge. Now, the thing is, I am all about open challenges. However, I am not for the idea that a SmackDown wrestler is going to go onto Raw and bring up an old storyline that happened a long time ago when there's been no build-up or no rhyme or reason for this to be happening. Bianca Belair, the idea of having her do a women's open challenge for her championship belt is fantastic. The idea that she's going to be a fighting champion is fantastic. The idea of this challenge being answered by Sonya Deville was a little bit of a weird head scratcher for me. It was one of the things that when I watched it tonight, I kind of realized that WWE may not feel as confident with the roster that they currently have on both shows. Keep in mind, there is a brand split between Raw and SmackDown. And yes, it is an open challenge, but I do believe if you're going to do an open challenge, you should still at least keep it open for the people that are on your roster. And I felt like this was one of those things where there was no rhyme or reason for it. And for the most part, I would say 90% of WWE Raw today was logical. But this was not logical to me. And I do admit, I admire the fact that WWE has given wrestlers ample amount of time to put on great matches and great shows. You can tell very quickly when you watch this show that WWE has a continued and renewed focus on wrestling. And the thing is, it's not just a renewed focus on wrestling for the males. It's not just a renewed focus on the wrestling for single stars, but it's also for women and singles matches for women. And tag team matches for women. Tag team matches for men. WWE is giving their wrestlers time to tell a story in the ring. Part of that is a little bit of a concern. You might be wondering why it's a concern for me. And I'm going to be very open here as to why I think it's a concern. I don't think every match needs to be a long match. Okay? Especially when you have some talent on your roster who are not 100% there. Now, for example, Dakota Kai and Io Sky winning the Tag Team Championship belt was great. The match had some great moments. However, there was nothing that really happened in this match to make me believe that WWE shouldn't just have had them win originally when they had the tournament finals. Okay, if they lost and then Raquel Rodriguez turned on Aaliyah, or if they set up some sort of story there, I felt like they could have done something to make it meaningful. But Aaliyah is just not, she's not all the way there to where she could be. And the great thing is, Aaliyah has a lot of potential, and she's working with the right people. But I don't think every match needs to be a lot longer than normal. Okay? I think when you go back to the Open Challenge, it wasn't the longest match, it wasn't the shortest match. But the fact that it was answered by somebody who didn't need to answer it, I think is a concern. So in my situation, the way that I would kind of fix this if I was WWE is I would take a look at my roster right now as it stands and take a look at people who are currently involved in a storyline that are not currently being used on the show. For example, we get the Damage Control post-match beatdown against Bianca Belair. Asuka and Alexa Bliss are two people who come to the aid of Bianca Belair. Now the thing is, you can do a babyface to babyface challenge. You can have Asuka or Alexa Bliss answer the challenge, have a good competitive match. Right? You can do this. After the match, shake hands. No big deal. You can do that. Just let two people shine, let them wrestle. And then when you have that post-match beatdown, when Alexa Bliss and Bianca Belair are getting attacked, what I would do is then have Asuka make the save, and then you kind of got everybody still involved in the same segment. I feel like WWE tonight did a really good job of continuity. But then, because we're talking about complaints, what is next for Omos? I don't know what WWE's plan is here. And here's the reason why I'm a little bit concerned. And I won't lie to you guys. I feel like it's very important for me to mention this. I made a video earlier today talking about Omos possibly having a new faction under the Hurt Business. MVP posted this video on Instagram. Shelton Benjamin, Omos, MVP, they're teasing something, right? So you give us this squash match, okay? I like squash matches from time to time, but you give us this squash match, and the biggest concern that I have here is why didn't you tease something, some sort of follow-through in regards to this new faction? Because the way that I'm looking at it here, that squash match is just pointless. Omos being a giant on Raw works well for Raw because Braun Strowman's on SmackDown. Commentary correctly analyzed that. They talked about that. They mentioned it. But we just got a random squash match on TV, and you still have certain talent not being used. Had this match had some sort of storyline implication or some sort of tease as to something new could be happening with Omos and MVP, that would have been great. But instead, if you're watching my live reactions right now, then you know my position is quite clear. Because it was just a random squash match on TV, and the storyline is being told on Instagram, that is not good enough for television. So the way to rectify that is maybe you have Shelton Benjamin sitting in the crowd, or whichever members that might be teasing something, right? Because the one thing I liked about AEW was Stokely Hathaway giving his business card out, right? But if you're going to do a new faction with Omos and MVP, how cool would it have been if you saw just a slight little nudge, maybe camera panning to somebody in the crowd? Maybe it's Shelton Benjamin, maybe it's Apollo Crews, maybe it's Ricochet. You know, they're not directly telling you. They're not directly telling you what's happening, but they're kind of showing you. Because again, WWE's been very keen on these small details. If they're showing you something, then it makes sense as to why you have Omos on TV randomly doing a squash match. It's not like Omos is a new debuting star where he just needs to be fighting against random enhancement talent. Those were my two biggest complaints tonight. Other than that, I felt like Raw was incredibly solid and incredibly logical. The idea that Seth Rollins will come in and garnish this major reaction from the crowd, yet he can control the crowd like that, that got me excited. The way he opened up Raw got me excited. Then you got the Judgment Day getting involved. Now you got all of these layers to the story. And then you keep going through the show. It's just getting really good. We got a super chat from Justin Kennington for $5. Justin says, Ango, who returns sooner, Sasha and Naomi or Bray Wyatt? Justin, thank you for the $5 super chat. This is a great question. This is no insider knowledge or anything like that. This is just my opinion. I think Sasha and Naomi can return literally at any moment in time. It is very clear to me that that should be the big feud for WWE moving forward. Okay? Io Sky and Dakota Kai, Sasha and Naomi. That's going to be a 5-star match. I'm pretty confident with that. They're all talented. Sasha and Naomi are levels above Raquel and Aaliyah. And that match wasn't even bad, by the way. It had its sloppy moments, but for the most part, I think I feel comfortable enough to say that Sasha and Naomi versus Damage Control is going to be a lot more desirable of a match. In order to get there, we got to get through this Asuka, Alexa Bliss, whatever they're doing with that storyline. Now, with that being said, to answer your question, I don't feel like WWE is going to waste the return of Bray Wyatt on television. I don't think so. I think WWE is more willing to put Bray Wyatt in a situation where he gets involved in a massive, massive angle at a pay-per-view. Now, what pay-per-view would that be? The next premium live event is Extreme Rules. That would seem pretty logical for WWE to bring in Bray Wyatt, depending on how that card shapes up. I want Bray Wyatt back, regardless of the company. I want him back. I could see Sasha and Naomi returning on the same night as Bray Wyatt. I want that to happen all on the same night. I feel like if WWE wants to make Extreme Rules a very desirable pay-per-view, because you got to remember, Extreme Rules is not one of the big four. It's just another PLE. And if you want to make these premium live events feel really special again, you got to have big moments for the ones that aren't the Royal Rumble, that aren't SummerSlam, that aren't Clash at the Castle, that aren't WrestleMania, that aren't Money in the Bank. So if I was WWE, that's what I would do. I would pull off some major surprises in the same night and say, this is the reason why you should never miss our premium live events, because something great is going to happen every single time. Thank you again, Justin Kennington, for the super chat. If anybody else wants to drop a super chat, feel free to do so. Just a couple quick shout outs really quick. We got a couple new subscribers while I was talking. I didn't get a chance to shout them out. Alan Service, Simulator, RJ, Cameron. Thank you all for subscribing to the channel. Appreciate it very much. Guys, if you haven't smashed that like button, can you do me a favor? Can you pull like Kevin Owens and just hit it with the stunner really quick? If we can get this live stream to over 100 likes, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you in advance. Let's take a look at the chat. A lot of people are coming up with some great stuff. Let's see. Kevin Abreu says, Triple H wants to bring back everybody, but can Triple H book everybody? Well, one of the biggest arguments that I've been making is that Triple H has had to inherit a roster that maybe he just doesn't want. I am not advocating for WWE to release anybody. That seems to be a very big topic today, of all days. Personally speaking, I am not going to advocate for WWE to release anybody. I won't tell you WWE should release anybody. I won't make a video talking about WWE releasing people that I think they should release. I think what WWE needs to do in this situation, Triple H needs to inherit the roster that he was given and find something for people to do. It goes beyond making big returns and new signings. You got to do stuff with the things that you have. WWE has found a way, for me personally, to enjoy the Judgment Day. I'm starting to understand the Judgment Day more. I'm starting to see what they're doing with the Judgment Day and Dominic Mysterio and all of these different things. So take what you have, see how you can improve it. For the things that you can't improve right away, take them off TV, come up with some creative ways to repackage them. You have NXT as well, right? You have all of these different things that you can do, and then when the time is right, put them back on TV. So personally speaking, Curvin, I'm sorry, I think I called you Kevin. I apologize. Curvin, I think Triple H can book anybody. It's not going to be like that, but I think he could book anybody. We talked about it in a video that Veer, there's no creative plans for him in the imminent future. No problem. Pair him with Sangha and Jinder Mahal. WWE seems to be loving the whole groups thing right now. There's ways to do it, is my point. That's my point, is there's ways to do it. You can repackage people. Maybe you weren't too happy with the way Vince kind of left you with this roster. Repackage them, right? We saw what happened to Ezekiel. He got written off TV. WWE can do this. Triple H can do this. Shout out to Asher Maxwell for the $1.99 super chat. Appreciate it, Asher. Thank you so much. I didn't see a comment left with that, but I just seen something else in the chat. What do you think about the current tag team title situation coming up for Friday Night SmackDown? I'm intrigued by it. But unfortunately, when it comes to the WWE Tag Team Championship belts, when it comes to those, it's hard for me to get excited until I see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn fighting for them. Tonight's promo with Kevin Owens and Austin Theory tells me that perhaps WWE might shift away and have Kevin Owens possibly take the Money in the Bank briefcase from Theory. If there's a man that can take the briefcase from Theory, I'd put my money on Johnny Gargano or Kevin Owens if they're going to do a stipulation like that. If they choose to move forward with said stipulation, I would have Kevin Owens successfully cash in on Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship. I don't think Roman Reigns needs both belts. In fact, I really don't think he needs either one. But have Kevin Owens cash in. It is a much more believable cash in for the prize fighter Kevin Owens to cash in successfully on Roman Reigns, take the WWE title back to Raw, and then you get some amazing feuds. Then you get some amazing feuds, and I'm all for it. Thank you, Asher Maxwell, for the $1.99 super chat. Appreciate it. MGT says, I swear I shed a tear because of that KO promo. It was a wonderful promo. It's amazing because it happens after a fantastic back and forth match between Johnny Gargano and Chad Gable. Money. That match was a beautiful way to bring Johnny Gargano back. It was a beautiful way to have Chad Gable look strong. It was a beautiful way for Johnny Gargano to face some adversity while he's wrestling a good wrestler. And then on top of that, you have Theory attack Johnny Gargano. Then he cuts a promo, gets interrupted by Kevin Owens. Now you're telling more stories. Again, different storylines are interacting with storylines. There's like this cross promotion between them. Like they're crossing roads. They're hitting the crossroads. And I love that. I love that so much. Kevin Owens absolutely killed it. I put out a tweet today, guys. I said, I asked everybody, I said, hey, like, who is one person, if you exclude returns and signings, who is one person that you feel like is benefiting the most from Triple H? It's really hard to answer that, but I feel like Kevin Owens he's been given like this newfound freedom on the mic. He mentioned it to Theory, like, hey, you were the chosen one. And I know what that's like too, right? I won my Universal Championship. It was handed to me as well. But I got to work for everything I want. Like, he dropped this promo. It was honestly really incredible. I thought it was absolutely funny that the social media reaction is just awesome because I feel like anytime Kevin Owens touches the mic right now, the fans love it. But what's really cool too is you got to give some credit to Theory because he's perfect at playing this character. He's perfect at playing this role. And then what's really cool too is Theory may have legitimately broke his nose, so their pull apart brawl, and then seeing the visual with blood on his face. It's not like a blade job. He like legitimately looked like he broke his nose or something. It just added to it. So the aggression from literally from the great match that you get between Gargano and Gable, Theory comes out and attacks Gargano. Then Kevin Owens confronts Theory. It was just a perfect sequence of events. That was really impressive to me tonight. That was one of the highlights of the night. And it gets me really excited about the future of Kevin Owens in WWE. Like, I'm really excited to see what they do with him in WWE moving forward under the direction of Triple H. Shout out to Batmobile for subscribing. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate that, guys. If you haven't clicked that subscribe button, we're super close to, 44,000? I keep forgetting at this point, but it looks like 44,000 is the number that we're getting close to. We are at 40. Yeah, so we're at 43,558 subscribers. So if you guys haven't clicked that subscribe button, you definitely should. Jack Miller says, have it when you have on the line the contract where the winner gets to decide which title to have. They can do it as a storyline. Yeah, Money in the Bank was always designed for one championship. So I don't think they really have to make too much of a story of it. They just have to explain that. But I agree. Spoken Word Illusion says Chad Gable looked really good in that match. 4.6 stars. My star rating system does not matter, but I enjoyed the hell out of that match. That was a good way to bring in Gargano. It didn't make him look like he's like this overpowered dude who's about to do a squash match, right? So I felt like it was really cool. He fought some adversity in the match. Now I think what they're going to do is Johnny Gargano versus Otis. I think they might be planning that too. They had a nice little interaction post-match, and again, that was just like a really cool thing. WWE, again, some of the small details matter, and I love that. James Cunningham says Malachi Black is not going anywhere. He is in AEW for the next 4 years. No, he's actually been released by AEW. He was granted a conditional release from the company, so we don't know how long out of action he'll be there, or how long out of, in his conditions, like how long he'll be on this non-compete. But technically speaking, he's been released, and at some point he'll bring it back. Whether he comes back to WWE, whether he comes back to AEW, we'll find out. But I would probably guess with Malachi Black, it'll be a while, which is totally fine. Flyest Fresh Prince says, do you like NXT 2.0? I hope they could go back to the fast-paced wrestling like it was before. Great question. I loved NXT 2.0 the minute the transition happened because there's a big focus on storylines and characters. Recently, it is starting to feel a lot like NXT Black and Gold with a mixture of 2.0. It's actually starting to feel like the main roster in a way. So, yes, I like NXT 2.0. Shout out to Smurf for the subscription. Appreciate it. Let's keep going throughout the list. Ango emotes on Twitch, 10 out of 5 stars. Yeah, I mean, literally, it's like you either get a 0 out of 5 or 10 out of 5. We'll come up with a ranking system. If you guys want to help me come up with a ranking system for this channel, I'll come up with a ranking system for this channel. Truly, I really would. If you guys want to come up with like a star rating thing, like we can come up with something. I like to judge wrestling matches. My criteria is different than a lot of other things, but if you guys want to do that, let's do it, you know? Johnny Autism Wrestling says, I hope Dexter kidnaps Miz's kids. Dude, that makes me horrible. No, I don't want to see that. But I will say the Dexter Lumis stuff is like, it's funny because every week I kind of ask myself, like, what is WWE gonna do next with Dexter Lumis to keep it fresh? And tonight was a great example of that, right? You have the Miz and Maurice inside the house. The Miz is supposed to do an interview. In the background, you see Dexter Lumis through the window. The kids come into the action shot. I loved it. That to me was like a really cool thing for WWE to do. And I really enjoyed the fact that WWE has gotten to the point where those small details matter, right? Those small little things matter, and it adds to the storyline. Now, what is the reason specifically that Dexter Lumis is going after The Miz? Is it because The Miz is tied up with Ciampa? Is Dexter Lumis going to be the person that brings Ciampa and Gargano together as DIY? Because look, guys, I'll be honest with you. I like Gargano. And I'm not saying he can't be a singles champion in WWE. I'm not saying that. But there are a lot of other feuds and a lot of other wrestlers I would like to see take that Intercontinental or U.S. Championship belt first. When you look at the Usos and the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders and the New Day and possibly Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, when you look at the amount of tag teams that they have, you got the Brawling Brutes, you have Imperium. I would love to see Johnny Gargano and Kevin Owens do their own thing separately. Obviously, Kevin Owens made a reference to them in their history. So when I look at Dexter Lumis and what he's doing, if I'm going to do anything else, right, let's keep Gargano away from Kevin Owens. Yes, they can be civil and they could be friends, right? They could show love to each other. But what I would do is use Dexter Lumis as a way to bring together Johnny Gargano and Ciampa. That way you get DIY reuniting. You get some amazing tag team matches. Triple H could go on to put the tag team division on notice. People will love it. People will enjoy it. And I think that would be a great thing for WWE to do. The Way needs to reunite. No, I wouldn't reunite with The Way because Theory is kind of off in his own world. I think Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell are going to be reunited on the main roster. I'm hoping that Dexter Lumis and all of this, like, because again, we still don't know the purpose of all this. But I would like to see Dexter Lumis in a situation where he is bringing back DIY. It's a feel-good story. It will make sense as to why he targeted The Miz. That would be interesting to me. That would be kind of the end result that I would like. But I give WWE props here, right? Because you got to think, WWE is in a situation, man, where it's tough. Dexter Lumis made a debut. Not everybody watches NXT. So you got to remember, it's tough. They're in a tough situation. They could have put Dexter Lumis in squash matches each week, but those would have been meaningless. The fact that he's out there on weekly television doing these small little antics, and then people are intrigued by it, I'll tell you guys, I really don't know what this leads to. I don't know what to expect next week. But the one thing that WWE Raw has done since Triple H has taken over, it has created an intrigue for me to want to get excited about watching the next week episode. That's the truth. Yeah, maybe I said it earlier. I wasn't too thrilled about Sonya Deville answering the open challenge, right? Maybe it just wasn't something that was for me. Maybe Omos doing the squash match just wasn't for me. But everything else makes me excited about what's to come. That's a great feeling. They're not going to be perfect, but it's these small things that are happening on WWE television where I'm basically getting to the point where I think Triple H has managed to get me excited for the following week. I'm still going to hate that I have to watch 3 hours of television at once. I personally don't like to do that. I would prefer Raw to be 2 hours long. That's not going to end up happening. But at least I'm getting a much more enjoyable show. Small details matter. Things are logical. Storylines feel like one open world. Backstage segments matter. We still haven't even talked about Lashley and Seth Rollins. Next week, they're going to have a United States Championship match next week. Right? We know this. It was announced. They had a backstage segment. Great. Probably predictable as hell that Riddle is going to cost Seth Rollins the championship. Very predictable. But what does it say when you have two top stars like Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins fighting for the U.S. Championship on Raw, a show that doesn't have a World Championship belt on the program? That means that U.S. Championship is a desirable prize. It means the mid-card belts finally frickin' mean something again. That excites me. That really does excite me. It excites me for a lot of reasons, but the reason that comes to my mind most of the time when I think about those mid-card titles, not everybody could be a world champion. There are a lot of guys who could benefit from being in the spotlight of becoming champion. When Austin Theory originally won the U.S. title, it didn't really matter. When Damian Priest won the U.S. title, it didn't really matter. They were both good U.S. champions, but it didn't really matter because for a very long time, Vince McMahon said those mid-card titles didn't matter. So now whoever ends up becoming a mid-card champion, it's going to matter for them. Gunther has the highest win percentage in WWE right now. He is the Intercontinental Champion. Whoever he loses it to, doesn't matter. It's going to be a great thing for WWE when Gunther drops the belt because there's a huge emphasis on these mid-card title belts. So the idea that Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley is happening next week, and it's very well predictable, and maybe my prediction's wrong, but the idea that there could be a DQ there doesn't even piss me off because there's two benefits. One, the storyline continuity between Riddle and Seth Rollins, which obviously makes sense. I think they need a stipulation for Extreme Rules, no holds barred, street fight. I don't know what it is. But I think that's a great example. And then I think you got to look into this idea that Bobby Lashley is holding the championship prize that even Seth Rollins couldn't win. It makes it look like it's a desirable prize. It puts more meaning to the championship belt. What's up, Negla K? Thank you for stopping by, brother. Negla K is also another VIP member of the channel. Guys, if you haven't done so, there is a great promotion from YouTube. It's like 50% off your first month. By the way, if you guys are a VIP member and you're watching live tonight, the episode 2 of the Slam will go up tomorrow. So the episode goes up at 12 Eastern, and then it'll be available to everybody Wednesday. So you get it 24 hours earlier. Tomorrow, episode 2, talk about Bray Wyatt, some fantasy booking. I have some of the topics written down, so I'll give you guys like a little idea of what we talk about. It's a freaking awesome episode. Me and King Cola, really great conversation, shooting the shit about Bray Wyatt, booking Bray Wyatt, the Elite, and some stories with the Elite in WWE, celebrities and UFC fighters in WWE, the worst booked wrestlers in AEW and WWE. We talk about Triple H's biggest creative blunder since taking over creative. There's a lot of great things, guys. If you're a VIP member, check the community tab at 12 p.m. I'm going to have the link posted for you guys for early access. Otherwise, it'll be available to everybody Wednesday. The Slam is also available on Spotify and Apple. It is a very, 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 very cool episode. We go off on an hour. casual wrestling talk. Sick. It's the way it's meant to be. Huge shout out to Andre Benson, who donated $2 through Super Chat. I'm with you on a 2-hour Raw. It would be better. I agree with you, Andre. I think 2 hours would be better. It's not even like WWE Raw was bad for a 3-hour show. I don't think that. It's like I said, there was only 2 things I didn't like about the show. But I just don't like to sit there for 3 hours and watch wrestling, let alone 15 matches for a pay-per-view, you know? This is where I think NXT and SmackDown are a lot easier to watch, you know? Because you got to think, even if it was commercial-free, it would still be annoying. 3 hours is a lot of time. Shout out to Sean G, who just became a member. Thank you, Sean, for becoming a member. Appreciate you, brother. Guys, again, you're going to want to join. Sean, if you have Discord, make sure you send me a message on Twitter or send an email. I can get you on Discord in the VIP section as well. You definitely don't want to miss out on that. But yeah, Andre, I'm with you, man. 2-hour Raw would be perfect. I understand why WWE doesn't do it. I get why they won't change that. But even with live sports, sometimes like soccer, I watch soccer, football, right? 90-minute game. It's a long broadcast to sit there. The pace matters. And WWE's pace has improved. But 3 hours is still more than 2 hours. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things where I think it's an issue. It's a concern. Thank you for the super chat again, Andre Benson. Appreciate you. What's up, Tony Coco? Cedric Gilmer says, call-ins. Guys, I'm working on it. Call-ins will be a real thing. I'm not joking about it. I'm working on it. I'm trying to figure out the best ways to do it so it's easy. It'll take a little bit of time. It's not going to happen overnight. But we will do it, and when we do it, it's going to be sick, and it's going to be better than everybody else, because we're not going to half-ass it. So, yes. Yes, call-ins. Sean G says, hello, everyone. While Triple H has done a better job with the product while taking over, I'm curious to know what he can improve on since taking over, in your opinion. Yeah, I mean, I'll answer that. I think the biggest thing is not everybody needs to wrestle for a long time. Not everybody does. For the matches where it truly matters, yes, but not every match has to be long. I get why he does it, but I don't think he needs to. Shout out to Osvaldo Luna for subscribing. Thank you. Appreciate that. Farhan Rocco says Kevin Owens is the MVP of Raw. I can agree with that. But I don't want people to necessarily think that the Judgment Day is a failure. The Judgment Day pre-Triple H was ass. It was terrible. It was not fun. It was not cool. It lost its identity. Triple H is working on it. He's figuring out a way to make it work. I enjoy it. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I enjoy the Judgment Day. I understand some people were critical of Dominic Mysterio's backstage promo. Not me. Not me. Jack Miller says, I would prefer Rampage to be a 2-hour show on Thursdays and hoping that ROH gets a 2-hour show as well with its own roster, maybe on a Saturday night. No. They got to get Dynamite figured out first. ROH is not going to be a priority if Rampage is not a priority. ROH can't be a priority when Rampage is not doing that well with ratings and stuff like that. Tony Khan makes it very clear that Dynamite is the premier show. It kind of undervalues Rampage. So if he's already done that, what is it going to do for ROH when the time comes? Mike says Dom was tonight's MVP of Raw. I mean, it was his first solo main event. The match with Edge was going great. They looked great. I don't know. I felt like it was a solid way to utilize this kid. Again, like he's got a lot of potential. I like the Judgment Day. It's starting to get over with me. It's not something I genuinely enjoyed in the beginning, but there's some intrigue there. Them taking out Edge is great. Rey Mysterio is put in a very, very, very chaotic situation. You got a whole bunch of storylines crossing into each other. I like it. There's a lot of great things happening right now in wrestling. And like I said, there was not that much I can argue about tonight. The things I argued about I felt like are very valid. But for the most part, I feel like Raw was pretty solid. Again, continuity matters. The Miz, Dexter Lumis, it matters. There's a lot of things that we'll see as time goes on as to what the true plan is, right? Omos and squash match. Like, what was the purpose of it? What are you going to do differently? What is this leading to? Everything kind of felt like it needed to be on the show. Like a Bianca Belair open challenge is fine being on the show. I just didn't like Sonya answering it. I feel like, the squash match, it's fine to be on the show, but what's the purpose of it? You didn't give us the purpose, right? And that's where I think maybe I'm a little bit nitpicky on it, but also at the same time, too, when you got MVP on Instagram teasing this new faction, possibly, they're talking business, why not bring that to television? It doesn't have to be a major reveal. It could be very subtle. There's a lot of ways to do it, but just something to make that appearance on TV mean something. Sean G says, if you had the option to bring back just one, which one would you prefer? Tennille Dashwood, Bronson Reed, or Dominik Dijakovic? Well, Dominik Dijakovic is with AEW. He's with WWE as T-Bar. So you're just asking me to pick between Emma and Bronson Reed. Personally speaking, this is a very tough decision. Like, I hate picking just one, but I think, truth be told, I think Bronson Reed is in New Japan. I don't think he's going to actually leave New Japan. I would pick Tennille Dashwood because it would help the WWE women's roster. They have a lot of people there, but you need to start getting more experienced people there. That's the only way people like Aaliyah would benefit. Plus, SmackDown needs some legitimate challengers. I don't like the idea of Becky and Ronda fighting for a championship at WrestleMania. I think they're bigger than the belt. So bringing in Dashwood probably would be my pick. But I think that's because Bronson Reed is not going to technically be available. Jack Miller says, I would love it if the WWE can re-sign Mia Yim after Bound for Glory when her deal is up and Ember Moon in November when her deal is up, then have those two in a tag team. I wouldn't want them in a tag team. I would want them as single stars. I will say Mia Yim coming to WWE was never going to be a possibility under Vince McMahon. With Triple H, I could see that being the case. With Ember Moon, to be honest with you guys, I'm not happy about the way she's been handled in AEW. I think that's a really good signing that's just been pretty much swept under the rug. They didn't treat her like a big deal. They haven't really been consistent with her. They haven't made her look like she's at the top, and that's unfortunate because I thought for sure AEW would have done that. I'd be okay with both of them coming to WWE, but not in a tag team. Tony Coco says Drew Gulak should join the Alpha Academy, make that a faction. Yeah, I mean, I would totally be cool with that. Again, I love factions. I love that WWE's got all these groups. I'm not against it. It gets Drew Gulak on TV. I'm with it. So, yeah. But all right, guys, yeah, we're going to call it a night. Honestly, we're going to keep it an easy night. I try not to do Monday Night Raw too long. I try to do the Raw reviews a little bit shorter because Raw ends so late. But if you guys aren't subscribed, make sure you guys click that subscribe button. We got tons of content on this channel. Shorts, live streams, videos, 2 news videos a day, tons of shorts, tons of content. There's a lot of things we're working on. We're growing the channel, baby. We're trying to hit 50K subscribers, 100K subscribers, 250K subscribers, 1 million subscribers, 20 million subscribers, 100 million subscribers, 1 billion subscribers. We're going to keep grinding until we take this channel to new heights. But again, Mondays are a little bit later because of Raw being a long show. So I appreciate you guys spending your night with me, listening to me talk about wrestling. I appreciate you guys chatting and interacting. Shout out to our new member, Sean G. Shout out to all of our existing VIP members. And thank you to everybody who dropped a super chat tonight. Thank you all. Have a wonderful night.